An unbelievable comeback? Our thoughts on the game. Kevin Durant returns to OKC. What are we expecting? The Celtics and Wizards are streaking right now. Can they threaten the Cavs? And can Tech pull off the upset? Find out next. MCTV Sports 101 starts now. Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to MCTV Sports 101. I'm Kyle Stafford.
And I'm Billy Ingle.
The greatest comeback in sports history? That's how many are describing the 25-point comeback by the New England Patriots over the Atlanta Falcons. Billy, did the Patriots win this game or did the Falcons lose it?
Well, first off, you got to start off by saying hats off to Tom Brady and the ability to come back
Bill
from
Belichick
that. And Bill Belichick, and with the game plan. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, the Falcons lost this game.
They did.
When you go back and look at the key moments of the situations, after Julio Jones makes that spectacular catch down the field on the other side of New England's field.
He's a stud, man.
They're within field goal range. What do? You run the ball 3 times, you kick it, you go up 10 with about 4 or 5 minutes left, and granted, Tom Brady could have scored 10 points, but not in that amount of time. So right there, hands down. And not only that, I feel like Kyle Shanahan, he just completely, the game falls on his shoulders.
Well, he's not the only one. I mean, Dan Quinn still could have some control to say, hey, let's run the football
as
here,
the head coach, at his discretion, he's able to step in there and say that at any time. But
Dan Quinn has the experience. He's been in a Super Bowl before.
This is true.
Where they didn't run the football, by the way, on the 1-yard line.
You think he might have would have learned from that.
Yeah.
But I guess, at the end of the day, he went with his gut feeling to trust Kyle Shanahan to call these 3 plays out, which everyone seems like a no-brainer is to run the ball 3 times to kick the field goal with Matt Bryant, who was 24 and 25 within that range, between 35 and 45 yards.
I mean, Kyle Shanahan, he was trusting his offense. They were destroying the Patriots defense in that first half. Now, they did slow up in the second half, but, I look at the biggest play of the game was 31 on 36-yard line. Devontae Freeman was running all over the Patriots that entire game, and you decide to go out of an empty set and have Devontae Freeman block off the edge like he's a tight end, and then he didn't even pick up. He didn't even pick up Dante Hightower.
And I will take a little bit of that off Kyle Shanahan because you know what?
Well,
Devontae Freeman
should have saw
know that that's that's his blitz pickup.
But instead of running the football, it's 3rd and 1. Whether you get that or not, you punt the ball away. You're up 28-12. Instead, you get the fumble. Hightower forces the fumble. Patriots score really quick after that. I think that play, and then obviously, they're still throwing the football, which led to a sack the next drive after they got the pass with Julio, and then another in a holding penalty, which moved them out of field goal range. I don't understand. Like, I'm a person that says I'm cool with running. I'm cool with them passing, but at that time in that situation, you got to know where you're at in the game, and you had control of that game. You need to run the ball. You've been doing well all night with Devontae Freeman, and they didn't do it.
That's 2 times in the last 3 years we've seen teams in the Super Bowl throw the ball when they should have ran.
Well, look, at the end of the day, though, the Patriots did have to come back and score those points, so they did still have to win the game. I give them a lot of credit. That was probably one of the greatest I've seen, but also
I will say that.
a little bit of a
one
choke
of the greatest
job.
Super Bowls we've seen in recent memory.
But Falcons did choke that away at the end.
Saturday night, Kevin Durant makes his much-anticipated return to Oklahoma City. Kyle, how do you think Durant will be welcomed by OKC fans? Are you expecting a big game from him?
Well, I'll start with yes, I'm expecting a massive game from him. I think he's going to go off in Oklahoma City. Look, he's had such a storied career there, and I wish – I'm an OKC fan, and I understand the pain of losing him, but at the same time, I need to respect what he's done in those 9 seasons there. One with Seattle and the rest with OKC. He's one of the best all time. He ranks 1 or 2 in a lot of categories all time in the organization. I think he deserves a standing ovation.
And I think he does deserve that, but I think we both know and well aware that he's not going to get
He's going to get booed out the
He is going to get booed out of the gym. And this is something that I think in time Oklahoma City fans will be able to realize how much good he did. Right now,
I think they realize it. They're just it's still fresh.
It's still fresh. Right now, it's just like throwing a little bit of salt on it. They need 5-10 years to see how this all plays out. Maybe this works out in their benefit. Maybe Russ attracts another player to come play with him. Fair.
I don't think Russell Westbrook's going to be attracting anybody to come play with him.
Now we'll look to what possibilities. But either way, this is just something that takes time. And, for the game, I do expect him to come in there and play big. But I'm not expecting him to have an abnormal game from what he's already doing. To him and the Golden State Warriors, this is just another game on the list. Because they're competing for a title, and we know OKC isn't.
Well, and they've already played them twice, and Kevin Durant's had big games in both of them, and the Thunder have not played close in them. And I feel like it's going to be a close game because the crowd is going to be loud. We know how tough of a place that it is to play there, and it's loud. And I do think that it's going to be a good game. But at the end of the day, Golden State's a better team, and I think they're going to win. Now, question is, does Russ go off for a massive triple-double as well? Because I feel like he's gonna have to prove something.
Russ gonna do Russ every day of the week. You don't have to ask about that.
The Washington Wizards, who are 8-2 in their last 10, the Boston Celtics 7-3 in their last 10, are both making some noise in the East. Billy, could either of these teams potentially be a threat to the Cavs?
So I want to start off by answering your question and saying no.
Yeah.
No team is going to challenge the Cavs. But when you started to bring up the conversation of who is the closest number 2, and I got to go with the Washington Wizards right now. They're playing. They've got a hot streak of wins that they've got string together. They are third in the East, at 31-21, right behind the Boston Celtics at 33-19. But, whenever you look at the Washington Wizards as a whole, you look at John Wall, you look at Bradley Beal, those are the two names that stand out.
For them.
Martin Gortat. But another player that has really just stood out this season and has really elevated the Washington Wizards to that next level is Otto Porter. This guy's
living up to that lottery pick.
He is really starting to fill into those shoes that they were hoping that he would right now. And one of his main thing is he has really improved beyond the three-point line, shooting 46.4% beyond from deep. And that is really what's helping them be so successful here as of late.
And they have so much balance, too. I mean, Wall, Bill, Porter, but then you had Markieff Morris. I mean, he's a guy who probably could take Kevin Love out on the post. I mean, in the three-point area.
Give him trouble.
So it's stuff like that. They did play Cleveland the other day, went into the overtime game, and LeBron hit that crazy shot for them to win. So, I mean, the Wizards are there, but I'm going to go with Boston Celtics. I know we've been harping on them like the last 2 years, I believe, but I believe in Brad Stevens. I believe in his system, what he did at Butler, and now what he's doing with the Boston Celtics. And there's a guy by the name Isaiah Thomas, not the one in the past, the one of today, the 5'9" guard who is dominating the league right now, especially in the fourth quarter. He's been a stud. By the way, they have a lot of injuries. Avery Bradley has not played very much this season, and together they haven't had their core four, Bradley, Thomas, Crowder, or Horford. They've had them for 22 games. They're 16-6 in those games with their four. So imagine if they're healthy, and plus, if they add somebody at the trade deadline, we know they have picks.
I know who you're talking about.
I'm talking about Jimmy Butler. I'm talking about Jimmy Butler.
Is.
By the way, Danny Ainge, do not trade for Carmelo Anthony. I'm telling you right now, that will be the worst trade you ever make. No disrespect to Carmelo Anthony, but I just don't think he fits with that team. It's a ball movement team, and I don't think he'd fit.
Maybe
I think
he
make
doesn't
him worse.
fit, but I think at this time that maybe you do trade for Carmelo Anthony. And I'm not saying that's the best decision for the long-term future.
He's a
but for right now, maybe that helps him get an extra score. They've got to do what I feel like.
Well, if you trade for Jimmy Butler, that's 20 points a game.
If you're not the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm scrambling for anybody I can to help me beat them.
One team we didn't talk about is Toronto. They're still playing really well, but we've seen Toronto in the playoffs, and they haven't proven it to us yet. I think that's why neither one of us are going to really
they'll have to come up in the conversation later on in the season.
It should be good. It's not even the All-Star break yet, so we'll see what the teams do at the trade deadline.
Texas Tech will host number 3 Kansas on Saturday at 1 p.m. This is a big matchup for Tech, who is desperately trying to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. Kyle, can Tech pull off the upset?
Can they? Yeah. Will they? No. I mean, I hate to say it. Look, I love Texas Tech basketball. We both do.
We do.
I mean, obviously we go here. So, but I just don't it's not the same as last year. Now, if you look at their record last year from after a loss to Texas on February 6th, they were 13-9, 3-7 in conference. Tech right now is 16-8 and 4-7 in conference. But it's a different feel than it was last year. Tech was right there last year, and it just seemed like they just couldn't get over that hump. Now they have the lead, but they can't finish, and I just don't see Tech finishing any of these games.
We brought up this before the show and talked about how we don't have that closure. We don't have that guy with the fire.
No killer instinct.
And as you said, we thought that guy might have been Taja Grocher last year.
It was.
And I think
he hit those big threes.
I think we took him for granted. And necessarily, if he didn't show up and play the best and be the best player on the court, he brought the attitude. He brought the mentality. He brought the fire. And which, not to say that the players on this basketball team don't have, but there's not really one guy that you look at and you expect him to. You just really know that he wants the ball.
Yeah, and it's not that they're not good enough. It's just they don't have that something.
We've got great team defense, but there's just not that offensive guy to really help us win those close games.
Anything happen in college basketball. Can they win Saturday? Absolutely. Anybody can win against anybody on any given day. Will they? It's probably not. I mean, Kansas is too good. Frank Mason, Josh Jackson is playing lights out in conference play.
Right now, do you see us making the NCAA tournament?
No, I don't. I think their NIT team, I don't think Tech's going to finish strong. They have Kansas, Baylor, at West Virginia, Iowa State, at Oklahoma State, Texas, and Kansas State. I don't see very many wins there.
I think if we can get all those games that we're supposed to win by non-ranked teams, and we can steal that one in West Virginia and Morgantown, we got a shot. But that's a long way down the road.
I don't see it. You got to finish 9-9 in conference. That's 5 more wins. I just don't see it.
It'll be tough.
Yeah. Well, that's our show for this week's edition of MCTV Sports 101. Join us next week for the latest big-name stories in sports. I'm Kyle Stafford.
And I'm Billy Ingle. Until next time.